You ever fired somebody? It's not easy and it can be traumatic for everyone, but as a manager, you're going to have to do it. I'm going to tell you the main reasons that people get fired. This is Productivity ACE. Let's get it done. Being a people manager is a tough job. There's a hell of a lot to it. I know I've made the best part of 50 videos on the subject and I still haven't run out of things to talk about. Lots of being a people manager is super enjoyable. Coaching, developing people to success, that kind of thing. But here's something that's never enjoyable, and that's letting people go, especially if you're having to terminate an employee's time with your company. So when you have to fire somebody, you've got to be sure that you're doing the right thing for your team, for your company, and for the person concerned. It's something that fortunately I've only had to do a handful of times in my career, and here are the main situations that you'll encounter that might end up with you firing somebody. And if any of these tips give you any form of value, please just click that like button, as it really helps the channel a whole lot. Thanks a lot. So why would you ever need to fire anybody? Well, the first couple of reasons are the simplest. As a manager, you've got no choice to pull the trigger with these reasons. These are tier 1 reasons to dismiss somebody. You've got no choice. First one, major discipline issue. This is probably the easiest of the reasons, but it can still be traumatic for everybody concerned. Your employee has made a major error of judgment and engaged in behaviour that your company, and indeed the vast majority of companies, will not tolerate. Examples can include racist or sexist behaviour, intimidation or threats, drugs or alcohol at work, the viewing or distribution of adult material at work. I've seen more than one of those in my career, and when it's somebody on your team, it's an instant dismissal. Your first step is always to inform your own line manager and also take the matter to HR, who will then either take over and do the necessary or assist you in the process. There might be a case of gathering evidence, or the claim might even be disputed, so it's a process that can get convoluted. But from a manager's perspective, it's a no-brainer. You don't have to consider whether you've made the right decision because it's not a judgment call. Behaviours like this are not needed in today's workplaces, and the result is a termination. Crime. The same goes for any illegal activities, such as assault, violence, or theft. Another no-brainer. Fortunately very rare, and I think I've only seen one instance of this in my 20+ year career. But people are people, and yes, it does go on. Policy violation. The next tier of violation is more subjective. That's the violation or transgression of various policies your firm has in place. Let's call them tier 2. These policies are usually to do with risk to the business, such as the safeguarding of confidential information, the logging of financial records or other records, or administration policies to do with timesheets, attendance, absence, mandatory training, all that kind of thing. The reason these take more thought than the tier 1 violations of illegal activity is that there are many different levels to these policies. Some are more serious than others. And generally failing to comply with one of these policies won't result in an instant dismissal. As a manager, you're likely going to have to warn the employee about compliance with these policies and keep track of their records. And if it ends up with a termination, then the employee will likely have broken multiple policies or transgressed multiple times, ignoring your warnings repeatedly. And there might well have been an intermediate disciplinary step as well. Generally, somebody won't be dismissed for their first policy violation, depending on what policy it is, of course. As a manager, you have a duty to help your teams understand and comply with firm policies, some of which might not be the easiest to follow, or might involve poor quality and badly designed IT systems or really convoluted processes. So for a termination, you're likely to have to establish that regular breaches are either deliberate or negligent. As before, involve your own line manager and HR representatives to progress. Now into tier 3 reasons why you might need to dismiss somebody, and this is getting a little trickier. Constant underperformance. This is where the team member is exhibiting poor job performance. And as a manager, you have to make sure that you first tried to understand any reasons behind the underperformance. Empathy and coaching skills are really important here. As a leader, you need to put a lot of effort into trying to establish the reasons for the underperformance. There's often a genuine, valid reason, and it might take some time to get to the bottom of it. It might not be super obvious. Assuming there's no real reason for the underperformance other than capability, well, the manager also has more responsibility here. Training, development, support, all vitally important parts of a manager's job. Can you as a leader use your skills and emotional intelligence to help coach that employee back to performance? This might also involve some form of company performance management scheme, but ultimately the manager has a critical role to play. You have to do your best to get the employee back on track. And this is actually one of the biggest challenges in people management, and also one of the most satisfying. Some of the proudest achievements I've had as a manager has been when I've been taking poorly performing employees I've diagnosed the root cause of the issues and then used coaching skills to establish the frameworks and career scaffolding to help them climb back up to the right level. And that's really satisfying for everybody. So then, assuming that hasn't worked, the performance plan has been unsuccessful and you feel you've given every chance for the employee to get back in the game, it's likely heading for a termination. Now the final tier, tier 4 reasons why you might need to dismiss somebody, and this is the toughest. A disruptive attitude. These are reasons related to the attitude of an employee. Things like working behind your back to damage the morale of the team, affecting other employees' productivity by creating negativity and undermining your role as a team manager, and such like. Much harder to prove and something that can need a lot of careful observation and evidence gathering over time. In cases like this, the employee is also very likely to dispute any decision to dismiss them, so you're likely to be in for a fight, and that can get painful. So the support of your own manager and the HR representatives and the gathering of evidence is a crucial process. You'll also have to make sure that the evidence you've gathered is robust, solid, and you're absolutely sure that there's something going on, because it's all about making a case that can stand up under interrogation. And sometimes it's not always obvious. Sometimes people can be very crafty and skilled in their attempts to undermine your role as the team manager. I know, I've been on the receiving end of it before, and it's not guaranteed to go your way. So, as you can see, there are several situations that you as a leader may have to fire somebody. I'm lucky enough to have few situations in my career where I've had to do it because it's usually pretty stressful for everybody concerned, but it's a reality of working life. If you enjoyed this video, I'm pretty sure you'll like this video up here. I'm going to see you over there right now. Thanks for watching.